You know what? I take it back. Indiana can have Mick Cronin. That is as embarrassing as it gets. Oh my gosh. That's ridiculous.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast. It's your team every day. Like, comment, subscribe, download. We're going to have a lot of fun. We are going to have a lot of fun. Not because we're happy. No. This is what we call a therapy session. This is a rant session. This isn't a what the hell just happened episode. All right. I might be crying if you're watching YouTube. It's sunscreen in my eyes, but I'm basically crying. I don't know. I don't know what just happened because UCLA just lost at home to Minnesota. Again, they led by as many as 17 points. Should have won that game by 20. Led this game by 30 for 37 minutes. And that was ridiculous. In this game, Aday Mara played 14 minutes and got the ball twice. In the second half, Aday Mara played 4 minutes. In a game where the best player on the other team scored 27 points, Cronin's going to sit there in the post game and act like Aday Mara was not capable of guarding Dawson Garcia. Well, clearly nobody else was either. Because Mara has to be literally vomiting on the sidelines at this moment. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, how much does it take to recover after a week plus of the illness? They've come back home. I just don't understand. I flat out don't understand. I know Minnesota did the same thing against USC. They were down 14. They looked out of it, and they beat USC on the road the other day, and they did it to a next level game against UCLA. In this game, Aday Mara took one shot in the second half, played 4 minutes. 4 minutes. It looked like he was just trying to get loose on the sideline when he was coming in late in that game. Didn't look like he was hobbling. I didn't notice anything. I didn't see him vomiting all over the sideline or completely ill that he couldn't go in there for a long stretch. I do not understand this. Mick Cronin, where on the verge of his 500th game, where his father was in attendance. I'm pretty sure at the end of the game when they panned over to his father, I think that was Mick Cronin's daughter who was sitting next to him. And if it was, and that was her face after UCLA had blown the lead, it says it all. Even if it wasn't, the face says it all for UCLA losing this game. Like, how? It's embarrassing. What's funny is Cronin almost called this. He literally said after the Indiana game, okay, we are sitting here. Indiana people would love me to take this job. Go watch the UCLA fan boards. If we lose this game against Minnesota Tuesday. Well, look what happens. Now, obviously, he didn't say it was going to happen, but it's a tough matchup. And, Minnesota, they had their best player as quiet as could be in the first half. They're just dead, right? The Golden Gophers had nothing. They're down 17, snuck it out into 11. And as bad as they were playing, UCLA couldn't put them to bed. Why not use your best damn player, and put him in the game? Why not? What's been the key to UCLA's success in recent weeks? It's not because the Bruins have leaned so much on everybody else. It's usually a combination of two things. Eric Daly Jr. has a bad shooting night, and there was no presence in the post. Well, Eric Daly Jr. had a quiet night. Okay, it happens. Where's the other option in the post? His name is Aday Mara, and he was sitting on the bench. Did he say something? What are we watching? I mean, okay. And the other thing, 9 of 19. Okay, 47%. It's a decent field goal shooting percentage. It's a pretty solid three-point shooting percentage. It's a woeful free throw shooting percentage. 3-point field goal, terrible free throw shooting percentage. They could have won this game if they just made a dang free throw. Like, come on. They were in the bonus for so long, and they couldn't make a free throw. In this game, UCLA in the second half went 5 of 15 from the line. And that was some of which with your best free throw shooters. All right. You had Sebastian Mack missing 3 free throws. You had Eric Daly Jr. missing a pair. Tyler Bilodeau going 3 of 7. Like, what was going on? And they almost got saved because Sebastian Mack made a layup late. And then it's like, all right, let's just give the ball down 1 to Sebastian Mack. Oh, we're down a point with 4 seconds left. And then next thing you know, wouldn't it help to have a 7-3 big man in the game that we could potentially lob this ball to win the game and not have some terrible, let's just let Mac run through a guy, which we all knew was going to happen. We all knew it. And I believe the Minnesota guy flopped. Doesn't matter. You deserve that call because we all knew what was going to happen. Maybe if Mac had been able to go behind the back dribble, float it, we knew exactly what was going to happen. He was going to drive, look for a call, throw it up wildly. The guys who have made bucket, Dylan Andrews is the guy that's made late clutch buckets. Why not get Stefanovic out there for an open look? You're 7-3 big man. Or why not use an athletic William Kyle III or Bilodeau? But the same routine when you're down 1, expecting the guy that's either going to get hacked, or if you look at how many fouls are called in the last few seconds, not going to be called for Sebastian Mack every time. It is not going to be called in his way every single time. If you're expecting him to go downhill and get a foul where they were missing all their freaking free throws. That was atrocious. Awful. That is North Carolina 2.0. They escaped Indiana. I thought I'd come here like, okay, this team likes to, you're going to have to check out your heart. You're going to have to no, that was brutal. UCLA sitting there as a 6 seed in the West. They're maybe getting a 5 seed. Their wins are looking better. Everybody's losing. Purdue. The Wisconsin win looks better. And no, because they refused to put Mara in the freaking game. I've tried my best. All right, okay, Cronin, I believe every single word you say and think that, hey, Mara's not okay. But why? Why not? Why not? Why not? I'm tired of this nonsense. Why did you lose this game 64-61? Because you couldn't make a free throw. One of the key players to this roster had a bad night, and you refused at this point to find any player that could have a post presence. Because when a team's got a 6'11 dominant player, and you're sitting there where William Kyle III and Aday Mara are combining for 19 minutes, they combined for 6 minutes in the second half. And you're telling me it's a terrible matchup when Dawson Garcia scored 27 points on your defense, 70% from the field in the second half alone. And yeah, he made a lot of free throws. Yeah, it's something this team couldn't freaking do if their basketball career depended on it at this moment. Stopping him. What defense? What defense? UCLA still turned turnovers into buckets. They outscored Minnesota 23-7 in points off turnovers. They still couldn't win. Points in the paint. UCLA had more. Minnesota had a couple more threes. What was the difference? Largely free throws and clutch play down the stretch. Embarrassing. That's flat out embarrassing. I want to do like a Deadpool type podcast. You think of a podcast and you're like, all right, I can go cuss. You can vent. And every nasty, terrible thing that you guys throw in the comments, whether it's positive against me, towards anything, I would like to go out there and vent and go Ryan Reynolds. I know he's not popular. He's in the whole thing, but Deadpool-esque is what I should say. Deadpool-esque podcast right now and roast the living crap out of this game. Like UCLA has more bench depth that they outscored the Golden Gophers by 17 in points off the bench. They ran faster than Minnesota. Of the slowest teams in America, Minnesota is one of them. One of them. You'd think that plays into UCLA's hands. And then we're turning it over. No. Let's just throw the game away. Let's just throw the game away. Yeah, more rant to come in the second segment because, quite frankly, we need more. We need more. This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was dealing with piles of paperwork in frustrating forms, and then waiting and wondering and worrying if you're going to get any money back. Now Taxes is easily uploading your forms to a TurboTax expert who's matched to your unique tax situation. An expert who's backed by the latest technology, which cross-checks millions of data points for 100% accuracy. While they work on your taxes, you'll get real-time updates on their progress, and you get the most money back guaranteed, all while you go about your day. No stressing, no worrying, no waiting. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live, full service, real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guaranteed. Okay. UCLA really lost that game. They really did. They came out much better and then forgot to play the second half of basketball. This is the first half of the season's equivalent of the North Carolina game that they blew it. This is the same exact thing at a much worse scale because you're not going to New York on a cross-country road trip. Now, I know UCLA came back from Illinois, Indiana. There's no excuse for blowing this game. You miss 10 free throws and you lose the game by 3. They basically lost this game by 1 because they had to foul Minnesota at the end. You were up 17. The Bruins led this game for 37 plus minutes, almost 38 minutes. Minnesota only led this game for 26 seconds. Minnesota came to Los Angeles and did what only the first place Big Ten team could do. Michigan, win a game at USC and then win a game at UCLA. Only time it's happened all conference season. And you know what's the difference? Minnesota probably led for 90 seconds. I have to check the USC game stats, but an exaggeration, but not far off, where they probably led for 90 seconds to 2 minutes combined between those two games, where they beat USC and then they beat UCLA. Combined between those two games, they led for 2 minutes. They led more against USC than they did against UCLA tonight, and they won this game. All right, that was embarrassing. I'm not sure if that was superhuman from Dawson Garcia or just utterly embarrassing from a UCLA standpoint. This could be a presser because I'm recording this before the Mick Cronin presser, that we get a legendary quote, another couple legendary quotes. The soft and delusional Wentz, it worked well. It's run its course, but we need some answers. And not only do we need some answers, can't fall in love with the sweet, dulcet tones of a Mick Cronin yelling tirade that's going to turn his team into a winning club. Now, here's the thing that's going forward positively for UCLA. Even in their Final Four run, they had embarrassing, ugly losses where they couldn't win games down the stretch. There are weird games that UCLA in the Mick Cronin era plays winnable teams, winnable games at home, sometimes on the road too, where even if they're a tournament team, they just lose them. Outside of maybe the Jaime Jaquez Jr. era team, or in the senior year with Tiger Campbell, although they blew a huge lead to Illinois and got destroyed by Baylor. UCLA, embarrassing. That's flat out embarrassing. After saying Trent Perry probably needs more minutes, he gets 3 minutes. William Kyle, in a game where there's an athletic big man, gets 5 minutes. Aday Mara, 14 minutes, doesn't tell the story, didn't really play in the second half. I didn't see him going in a flu game. I didn't see anything crazy. And at some point, you got to tell, what? Well, what was going on? That was ridiculous. And where was everybody else in this game? Sky Clark hit an early 3, knocked it down, and then was 2 of 4 from the floor. Leaning on Dylan Andrews going 1 of 6 from the floor, not going to cut it every game. Not. And then you got Stefanovic, who's 4 points in 10 minutes on 2 of 3 shooting, splashing. How does he not get more shots? I did a show 2 months ago how he needs more shots. And now he doesn't always do well when he takes more shots, but he clearly needs more looks and we need a better end of game plan. Last 4 seconds play. Then you get Sebastian Mack going downhill. You need a driving kick option because when Sebastian Mack has the ball, he's not kicking. He is going into the chest of his defender and forcing the official to make the call. And you're not going to always get that call. You're not going to get rewarded after watching 40 minutes of the Mack Show flop fest. It's not UCLA at their best. And I don't say that in jest. My goodness. Mick Cronin, probably with his father in attendance. Oh my goodness. That was with his on the cusp of his 500th win. That's ridiculous. That cost UCLA so much, like an unbelievable amount. This is such a horrible loss. That is a quad 3 loss in your home gym where you led for nearly the entire game. That's going to cost UCLA not just maybe sneaking to a 4 or 5 seed, the current 6 seed where they get a first. No. You think the screw job by the AP pollsters was bad? Wait till they get a chance to be like, okay, you're definitely a tournament team. No, this is not going to keep UCLA out of the tournament. No. They've done too good to get taken out of the tournament because of this loss. No, they're going to get screwed and sent to the East Coast, where in March, they're only going to break our heart because they're going to fight hard and get too tired with more travel, and they're going to break our heart. That's what's going to be crucial. That's what's going to be brutal about this team. I'm like, all right, this team's going to lose as hard as – I'm not sure after watching how they choked the Minnesota game, how they nearly choked the Indiana game, how they choked the North Carolina game. How can it get any worse? I think in March Madness, something brutal is going to happen. Because UCLA is going to make us – I guarantee you UCLA is going to make us believe one more time. They're going to do it one more time. They're good enough defensively. They have enough options that they're going to make us believe. And they're going to do the exact same thing where they just absolutely blow it. This is the same thing that happened in the North Carolina game. The difference? They went to one guy who made a bunch of buckets. Mitchell Jr. hit some threes. Yet Patterson hit a couple of shots. Minnesota won this game with only 4 players making 2 or more shots. UCLA, 6 players making 2 or more shots, a lot more. Minnesota had 2 players in the starting lineup get 3 points combined. And it wasn't even a 3. Oh, I do not understand. That is a hair-pulling. That's where you pull out your hair during that loss. Like, are you serious? Because maybe one kid's injured, right? Maybe I've just missed something, or I didn't hear it, and there's an. But there's multiple players that are deserving of more time on this team. Where Cronin, who used to have the quickest hook and would just absolutely yank guys, I do not understand. I do not, because you were getting cooked by Dawson Garcia. Cooked. Why not rotate it? Keep rotating it. Not just, we're going to sit here and dine our laurels with Eric Daly Jr. and Tyler Bilodeau getting carved up inside by Dawson Garcia. Are you serious? Are you serious right now? You're telling me in a half where UCLA shot 45%, 45% from the floor. They shot 33% from the free throw line. UCLA had the same 3-point shooting percentage as they did free throw shooting percentage. And that's usually never, ever a good thing because your 3-point shooting percentage is not going to be as high as your free throw shooting percentage should be. But we've seen multiple times guys who can make free throws, this team just absolutely botch needing to make 1 or 2 free throws, needing to make 1 or 2 free throws to win this game and guarantee you're at least getting to overtime. Or I believe if UCLA could have even gotten this to overtime, they could have won it. No, they couldn't even get it to overtime. They couldn't make any free throws, and that was embarrassing. Don McClain, man, I want to hear what his next interview, next appearance on the Petros and Money show is, because he is going to have a fun time. I want to know what his unfiltered, his raw opinions truly are of this team. A former Bruin, a Pac-12 leader all time in scoring. What he thinks. because I think he's thought highly of these Bruins. I know Tim Cates, he's thought highly of these Bruins. I've thought highly of these Bruins. And then, dude, like, how to go on a limb and think this team is good, and you just lay an egg, an absolute egg. Like, Purdue's failing. That makes that game look slightly more promising when you go to West Lafayette in a week. Nope. Like, why do you just have to just lie flat in your face and take an L like this every once in a while? What? That just seems more like a coaching loss. And I know sometimes I don't always disagree with you listening or watching at home about Cronin's merits, but question them tonight. How can every single player, whether they're young and promising, have not been worthy of minutes tonight? Every single one who had limited success could have done better than anybody on the court tonight. Because sometimes it's not your night on the court. But it should have been UCLA's to walk away with a victory until it became apparent they did not want this game. It became apparent. Like, what? Everything played in their hands to wanting to win this game. And they said, you know what? Minnesota, you traveled so far. We don't care about this because our fans aren't going to show up for this game. We're a little disappointed. You know, we want to make our road a little tougher. So we want to play a 1 seed in the second round of the NCAA tournament. We're totally going to do that. They want to go play Auburn or Alabama or Florida if they're going to be a number 1 seed in the end. They're like, let's do it. Screw it. Let's just do it. 8 seed, here we come. Why not just put them in the 11 seed? Put them in the first 4. Maybe they'll go to the Final Four again. What are we doing? They might as well not even go to the Big Ten tournament. There's no reason to go across the country one more time to go to the Big Ten tournament if you're just going to go further and further down the standings. Because it seemed like if UCLA just doesn't absolutely blow it, you're not going to get caught by Illinois. Illinois got crushed tonight. Crushed by Wisconsin. And you're keeping them alive at stealing your seeding in the Big Ten tournament. You ruin your NCAA tournament. It frustrating. Very, very frustrating with the way this game was handled from the top to the bottom. Shocking, embarrassing, atrocious. There's very limited positives. Other than Cronin is going to throw some zingers, and I'm tired of trying to believe him. Absolutely tired. If there was a day to go fires a-blazing, just like firing away in the comments, this is that day. Like, I don't know. I clearly don't understand this. Been sitting here all day. Okay, I'd like to chalk this one up as a win. UCLA's favored by like 12 points. Nope, they can't even win this game at home. Quad 3 loss to understand a quad 3 loss at home. That is, they didn't have an eyesore on their resume. This is it. This is that pimple you popped and then it got infected and it's oozing. It's going to stay there. That's going to scar. There ain't no Dr. Pimple Popper that's going to save you here. There's no amount of ointment or cream that's going to erase this sting for the rest of the season or to the selection committee. That's ugly. That is rough. That's what you can get a scratch on the car that you just can't get rid of. You're like, dude, can't get any detail to hide this ugly of a scratch. Horrible. It's like, I want a burger. What happened to all the condiments? What do you mean? You left the best ones out. Well, we just, I just like my burger with some lettuce and no real burger. I just want lettuce. That's not a burger. Well, it's Mick Cronin style of a burger. Leaving the meat and the potatoes on the bench. That's what he did tonight. Ridiculous. Meat and potatoes. Leaving the protein on the bench. What are you doing? I'm tired. I'm tired of this nonsense. All right. I guess Mick Cronin wasn't deserving of his 500th win tonight. No. So they're going to have to do it combined with the Bill Walton celebration day against Ohio State. That's a team who's searching just to get a couple wins. They have a high net ranking, does Ohio State, but a lot of losses. Very high potential that they get in or out of the tournament despite their high net ranking. UCLA's got to win that game too. You can't lose to a near bottom feeding team in the Big Ten and lose to the Big Ten champs at home. Like you can't have it both ways. UCLA's trying to have it both ways. It's an absolute embarrassment how this game finished tonight. And I like to believe Mick Cronin will have them better off for it. We've already seen the worst we thought of the Bruins this year. Nope. We saw it tonight. Hopefully it's a one-game-only affair. Hopefully once. UCLA is not going to see the top 25 until next season. It'll be nowhere close. It's on the same night when Kansas lost by like 50 to BYU. A lot of crazy teams losing in the top 25. Nope. UCLA is not going to see the top 25 unless they go on a run in the NCAA tournament where they'll break our hearts again. Can read the writing on the wall. Break our hearts again after they make us believe. And they fell for it again. That is what's going to be written on this end of season podcast show when everybody's going to be like, remember that show you did when UCLA lost to Minnesota and you still kept believing, Zach? And be like, yeah, I believe they've gotten red hot and I thought they could do it and they broke my heart. You should go check back in the middle of that podcast and watch what you said. Listen, take advice from your own words. That's what's going to happen to me. I hope it doesn't happen to you, but I know it's going to happen to me when I believe that this team's going to be decent again and they have a chance, and then I'm just embarrassed and frustrated and shocked that it happened to me again. Frustrating. Utterly, utterly frustrating. We'll be here tomorrow to talk about it and how they can somehow positively swing this around into something good. And hey, there's spring sports to talk about. And the women. They are still one of the top teams in the country. We know one team that's going to get to the Final Four. I believe Corey Close and her team will finally break through. All that and more on the next couple of Locked On UCLA episodes. Like, comment, subscribe, download. Thanks for your support. My rant's over. All right, my rant is over. All right, A clap time. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You see. Like. UCLA fights. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. That was embarrassing. Go Bruins.